is unattainable, then you're in a state of despair. So while some people will be in a state of hope, some other people can be in a state of despair. But there are other states. Some people can be in a state of pessimism, right? And that's a state where you see only negative outcomes in the midst of adversity. When you think that things are going to continue to go poorly and terribly, that's another state people find themselves in, while other people will find themselves in a state of hope. Some people find themselves in a state of apathy. And that means they lack interest. They don't have any interest, no enthusiasm, no concern. And it's stemming from the state of, I can't do anything. There's no need. It's irrelevant. What are we still pursuing on earth? Oh, let things just be. And because of that, they don't take any action. There's no way Atinuke would be in a state of apathy for her to come and pay for emotional intelligence certified professional. No. When you are in a state of apathy, you don't take decision. You don't take action. You just let everything to be, right? Some people can be in a state of anxiety rather than in a state of hope. And when people are in a state of anxiety, it is because in the midst of that situation, all that is happening to them is worry and fear, and they see a sense of uncertainty, and they sit in those uncertainty about the tomorrow after that event. So it paralyzes decision making. It makes it very difficult for them to enter into that state of hope. Some people find themselves in a state of resignation, and that means they just drop everything. They don't want to do anything. And some people find themselves in a state of self-doubt. Can I really do this thing? Can I really move on? Can I really gain strength? Some people continue to ruminate, right? They continue to think about it. You know, Tinuka just said that, right? It's like drug, obsessive thinking and thinking and thinking of that situation in a negative perspective. I don't know what situation you are in today, but I've just shared with you a few different states that people can be in the midst of adversity. And I've also just said that adversity will not tell you it's coming. When it comes to check where your strength is. Are you in a state of despair? Are you in a state of apathy where you're not doing anything anymore? You're tired. Are you in a state of pessimism where you don't have the capacity to see anything good out of the situation? Are you in a state of resignation where you have accepted your fate and say, you see, this is how it is for me. This is how life is. You see, that's how it happens in our family. It's that, you know, my father's father and then my father. That's how it happens. I'm not surprised if that is the state you are in. Are you thinking that because of where you are, you're not able to take that certification anymore? Are you saying that because of the issue that happened, you cannot try again? Are you saying that because the marriage is not working, you can't try anything to make it work? What state are you in right now? Atinuke might have passed those states, but then she was able to find another state, and that is the state of hope. The capacity to say to yourself, something good can come out of this. You know, it's a journey. It's a journey from trauma, okay, to triumph. In that journey, I'd like to share with you a journey that you can take, right? You know, she said to me, share a story, you know, that can, and I thought to myself, there's no other story. The biggest story here today is the story of Atinuke, right? Of how she was able to move from there to this place, right? When you are able to start in whatever state you are in now, you are able to try your best. Just try your best to have that sense, right, of seeing a good ending. Just is like looking into the horizon, and while you're saying, there's nothing I can do about it, and while you're saying, I'm tired, and while you're saying, why me, in the middle of all of those saying, you're also able to say, it's possible for something good to come out of this. It's possible. We don't just use hope in adversity situation that is tied to family or tied to money and all of that. The Wright brothers, everybody was saying that the plane cannot fly, but they keep telling themselves, the plane can fly. A metal can go into the air and stay there and come down when it wants to come down. And they kept telling themselves that. Somebody was telling himself that there can be something called the internet. All of those things come because somebody can look around and say, something good can come out of this. You see, the movement to your superpower from whatever is happening to you right now must start from hope. And hope is the capacity. You know what they call capacity, the power to just sustain one particular kind of thought. And that thought is that it's possible that this thing can have a good ending. It's possible that something good can come out of this. When you don't have hope, you don't move to optimism. It's a journey, right? It's a journey. The movement that will give you your superpower. It's a journey, and that will give you the triumph. In that journey, you have to start with hope so that you can get to optimism. Without hope, you can never be optimistic, because optimism is the capacity to enter into a proactive perspective of hope. Can you imagine that? Optimism itself is the capacity to enter proactively enter into a perspective of hope. Now, proactive is that I've not seen it yet, but I can begin to see it. And that is exactly how to move through this journey. You see, unfortunately, this journey is not a journey where you can hold a stick and hit something. It's not a journey where you can open a physical door. No, the journey to your superpower is not a journey where you can enter into a bus or into a car and somebody will drive you somewhere. No. The journey to your superpower is not a journey where you can pay for something and all of a sudden you are in your superpower. You don't pay money to enter into your superpower. You don't open a door into your house to enter into your superpower. You don't drink orange to enter into your superpower. You don't do anything physical to enter into that superpower. Everything happens in your mind. Everything. And so the first step is to have that hopeful thought, which is, it is possible to get something good out of this. It is possible to have a good ending. Until you do that, you cannot move to the next stage. And the stage is optimism. And that is where you begin to, proactively enter into that hope. So you can be sleeping at home, and then all of a sudden you remember all the terrible things that is going on, and then all of a sudden you enter into hope. Every time you do that, that's optimism. And then you enter into hope. What do I mean? You enter into this capacity to see good, the capacity to see that it can end well. You don't know how it's going to end. I'm sure that Atinuke didn't know that we're going to be here today. So she didn't know how it's going to come out, but she knows that something good can come out of this. Something good can come out of this. Let me go and pay for a program. Let me go and meet somebody. Something good can come out of this. And when you continue to do that, you've gotten into optimism. It means that you know that this is not the end. And you know that this is not how life is supposed to be. Those who are pessimistic, when terrible things happen to them, they spread it over their life. They think that it is permanent. But people who are optimistic, when terrible things happen to them, they see it as temporary, because there's another thought that something good can come out of this. That's the thought of hope. So hope would help you see negative things from a temporary perspective, and that is how you enter into optimism. Once you are in the state of optimism, you've bought petrol, you've bought fuel. You've bought fuel for your engine. Once you are in optimism. And that's why while hope is the precursor to optimism is the precursor to motivation. And what is motivation? Motivation is then the inner drive. The inner drive. Irrespective of what is happening on the outside. Something terrible has happened. You are not achieving something that you want to achieve. But people can see that you've got a drive to continue. You've got a drive to try again. Where did you get this drive from? No, it's because the drive came because you have a perspective of hope. Or where did that perspective come from? Because there's a hope, there's a thought that is telling you, or that you keep ruminating within you, that it is possible. Something good can come out of this. And so on the outside, everybody is talking to you about how terrible the situation is. And it doesn't look good. But on the inside, there's a power. There's a thought. When I teach optimism, I tell people to go away with a statement. If you really want to, when I teach motivation, I tell people to go away with a statement. Motivation is a statement inside your subconscious that keep coming over and over and over again. So when you hear that, I can do it. I can't. And everybody say, take it easy on yourself. And from inside, you can hear, I can do it. Or from inside, you're hearing, I'll keep trying. I'll keep trying. That means you are motivated because it's a drive. And then that's how you're able to take a decision and take a decision. And once you get into a state of motivation, the big boy called resilience will then come to you, because motivation is a precursor to resilience. So if you look at the journey, you realize that hope is a precursor to optimism. Optimism is a precursor to motivation. You see, take motivation as the engine and take optimism as the petrol, the fuel that you put inside the engine. And we're able to put fuel inside the engine, what's going to happen? The car will move. And that's where motivation comes in. And as the car continues to move, it means that you are resilient, because no matter what is happening to you, you can pick yourself. You know, resilience is, they say it's bounce back. I'd rather use the word bounce forward, but let's think of bounce back. When you take a tennis ball and you throw it to the wall, that ball is resilient. Why? Because it's going to come back to you. Throw it to the wall 1,000,000 times, it's going to come back to you. It means that there's something within, not something outside. What makes the ball resilient is inside the ball. It's not the foam outside the ball. It's the air. It is a substance. It's the element inside of it. And once you become resilient, come on, you then move into where you should be, irrespective of what has happened to you. You don't enter into hope when adversity just comes. You're first of all a hopeful person. It means that hope is learned, hope is built, hope is cultivated. Hope is what you're doing with your children right now when they've not passed their exam, but you're able to tell them something about the fact that something good can come out. It means you are building their hopeful state. You are building their capacity to have hope. We can build capacity for despair. We can build capacity for pessimism. We can build capacity for apathy. We can build capacity for depression. We can build capacity for self-doubt, but we can also build capacity for hope. And once you do that, you have already gotten into the journey of emotional intelligence, because that journey starts from awareness. I don't know what stage you find yourself in right now. A lot of people jump into action. Those who practice emotional intelligence, they don't jump into action when things are happening to them. No, they actually jump into insights. They jump into awareness. They jump into realization. They jump into understanding. They jump into recognition of what is going on. If you want to practice emotional intelligence, the first thing you need to do in the midst of any situation you find yourself is to come to a realization. What is going on? What has happened? What am I feeling? One of the biggest questions we ask ourselves when we practice emotional intelligence in the midst of adversity is, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? I feel despair, and that's okay. I feel irritated, and that's okay. I feel sad, and that's okay. The capacity to even know what you feel is the beginning of a journey. And that's the beginning of emotional intelligence. So what do you feel right now? What emotion are you feeling right now? Another question you can ask yourself is, what insight can I gain from this situation? What insight? When you don't do this, you can't even pick hope. What insights? The insights I can gain from this is that life is hard, and that's okay. The insight I can gain from this situation is that I've lost someone, and that's okay. Gain the insight. I'm sad, I'm crying, cry, but be aware. Be aware that I'm sad. Be aware that I'm irritated. Be aware that I'm not happy. Be aware that I feel terrible. In the state of jump into understanding. And the place of awareness and the place of understanding is never an action. It doesn't happen on the outside. It happens on the inside. So friends, if you're going through any challenge today and you want to be able to triumph, how much awareness do you have? Another question you can ask yourself about awareness is, what's my strength? What is my weakness in this situation? And when you're able to do that, then you can go to the next stage of emotional intelligence, which is a stage of intentionality. So we call it know yourself and choose yourself. So when you know what is going on around you, you know what is going on inside you, you know what is going on, you know that you're feeling the pain, that's annoying. You know that you're not happy, that's annoying. You know that you're frustrated, and that's annoying. You know that you don't know what to do, and that's annoying. The next thing you then have to ask yourself is, what are my options? What are my options? When you don't ask yourself, what are my options, life will give you options. And I've known life for a bit. It gives you terrible options. It gives you negative options. It's life that gave you see, life would give you options that, have you ever thought about something and wonder, where did I get that thought from? Yeah, that's life. What is life giving you options? Because every day we store negative things. Every day we store terrible things, even though we store positive ones. And so in the midst of adversity, if you don't intentionally choose yourself, that is the capacity to see the options and say, what options should I choose? What options should I choose? If you don't choose for yourself, life will choose for you. Your neighbors are going to choose for you. Those who are laughing at you are going to choose for you. Fear will choose for you. Worry will choose for you. But if you practice emotional intelligence, we call it choose yourself, then you are going to ask yourself, what are my options? Because once you're able to ask yourself, what are my options? You take on that power of choice and say, of these 4 options, which one should I choose? I can choose the thought of despair. I can choose the thoughts that would make me anxiety, give me anxiety. I can choose the thoughts that would make everything seem fatal to me. I can choose the thoughts that would make me self-doubt myself. I can choose the thoughts of optimism. I can choose the thoughts of depression, but I can also choose the thoughts of hope. I can choose to see. And you know, she said something before, nothing means anything except the meaning you give to it. I can choose my meaning. I can choose to see that something good can come out of that. And that's how you then get into your hope, because you can now choose to see that this can work. You can choose to control your mouth, your words. You can choose to take your actions. And then the last one is what we call give yourself, which is being purposeful. Where do I want all this to end? What would I like to get out of this? What would I like to take away? I'm sure somewhere in Atinuke's mind, she used to say, I would like people to learn from my story. That's purposefulness. That's give yourself. I would like people to learn from my story. I remember the first few times we spoke, and I heard her say, I want people in situations like mine to be able to learn from my story. I want people to be able to, I don't want people to suffer this thing. Now that's purposefulness. You can see how purposefulness can help you make a choice among the options. If you are purposeful, there's no way you can be worried. If you are purposeful, there's no way you can see fatality. If you are purposeful, there's no way you can begin to think of the terrible things continuously. No, if you are purposeful in your pursuit, there's no way you can constantly see that you don't have power. When you are purposeful, which is give yourself, you will be able to come to the options, which is choose yourself, and choose the option that will take you to your purpose. If you're a Christian here, you would know the phrase that says, for the sake of the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross, despising the shame. For the sake, purposeful, for the sake of us being here today, that's emotional intelligence. And to choose to learn through the process. That's choose yourself for a purpose for being here today. Despising the shame simply means looking at the worry, looking at the sadness, looking at the shame, and saying, irrespective, I'll choose to make people learn. That's emotional intelligence. Where you're purposeful and you make choices about that purpose, irrespective of what you're feeling, despite what you're going through. It means that what you're going through is not choosing for you. Where you want to go is choosing for you. That's emotional intelligence. And that will help you get hope. I hope that you've been able to take something away as we allow other people to come add to it. And then we have a great day together. It's okay to ask questions. I'll still be here. Again, I celebrate you, Atinuke, for bringing us together and giving us such a powerful time to share. Anybody here today, I hope that you've chosen hope for a purpose, irrespective of what you're feeling. I'll say that again. I hope that you've chosen hope for a particular purpose. And if you've not chosen hope because you don't know that purpose, look for something purposeful in the midst of anything that you're going through. Look for something purposeful. For Atinuke, purposeful is somebody must learn from this. Somebody cannot continue to suffer this. And because of that purpose, she chose strength despite what she was feeling. When you practice emotional intelligence, you are in the middle of two things. You are in the middle of the emotion you're going through and the purpose and the goal. If you go to the left, you follow the emotion. You become emotional, it's going to beat you. You follow the right, you follow the purpose. Even though you're feeling the emotion, the purpose is going to carry you. And that's what has carried us to where we are today. Don't go left. It cannot carry you go where you don't know. Right? Come to the right. Come to purpose. Come to a reason. Find the goal in the midst of what you're going through. You will find strength. And you will gather people, maybe not like this, and you would achieve and you will move forward. Thank you very much again, Tinuke. Thank you. I celebrate you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Coach Enahoro. Thank you. You have been a blessing to me. Like, yeah, so like I can't even talk about my journey without talking about you. Thank you. Thank you. Like everything you have said, like so for me I am a testimony to these things that you're saying, that it's possible, it's doable. You just need to, like I said, the meaning that we're giving to everything that we're going through. It's not going the way we want it to go, but the meaning, that hope that I even have that it will pass, right? I see someone has a question.
I can't see them. I'm not sure why.
So with people that struggle with hope and optimism, how can you help them stop the catastrophizing?
With people that struggle with hope and optimism. So the first thing is going to be an understanding, right? And the understanding is when you're not optimistic, it's because there's a journey that your state of mind is taking, and you can change it. You can change it. Let me explain. For those people who are optimistic, when terrible things happen to them, their mind knows how to see it from a temporary perspective. And because they see it from a temporary perspective, they enter into hope and possibilities. That's optimism. But people who are pessimistic, when negative things are happening to them, they see it from a temporary perspective. I mean, from a permanent perspective and pervasive. That means it's affecting all their lives. You understand? So in the case of Atinuke, that's a very terrible thing that happened. Then she can say that my life has scattered. My life is pervasive. And say, and she can say in her mind that I will never come out of this. You know, that's permanent. But those who are optimistic, when terrible things happen to them, they say, I have other children. I love him. Life is moving on. Other things would happen. You can see that state of mind is creating temporariness, quote and unquote, to that situation. Now, those who are pessimistic, right? When good things, and you need to listen to this for your question, those who are pessimistic, when good things happen to them, they see it from a temporary perspective. Whereas those who are optimistic, when good things happen to them, they see it from a permanent perspective. So pessimism see good from a temporary perspective and see bad from a permanent perspective. Optimism see good from a permanent perspective and pervasive, and see bad from a temporary perspective. Once you understand this equation, the next time something terrible happens to you, you'd look for a temporary perspective around that situation. You fail an exam, it's just this one. I'm going to fail the next one. That's a temporary perspective to that failure. But you fail an exam and you say, I'm always failing. You just added a permanent perspective to that, and then you'll be pessimistic. So you need to understand the equation of optimism and pessimism going on in your subconscious. You've got a guy you're dating, he leaves you, and you say, that's how they always leave me. That's a permanent perspective to a situation. Somebody else is saying, well, he's gone, another would come. That's a temporary perspective to that situation. So understand the equation, and you'll be able to change it. Now, I just give you maths. I just give you logic. So I don't want you to go and struggle with your feeling. I want to be hopeful. No, you don't. Yorubas will say, right? It's not power, it's understanding. So go and check your equation. When bad things happen, do you see it from a permanent perspective? If the answer is yes, begin to look for a temporary perspective to those bad things, and then hope will begin to come. When good things happen, do you see it from a temporary perspective? If the answer is yes, begin to look for a permanent perspective, so that when a guy jilts a lady and the lady says, I'm a chick, I'm hot, I'm good, that's a permanent perspective to herself, irrespective of what has happened. And then the hope will come. I hope that helps. That helps.
That's powerful. That's very powerful. Another question is there a way to build this? Is there a way to build optimism?
Yes. Yeah. So everything, when I was giving an example of you don't need to buy orange to do this. You don't need to open the door. What I was trying to say is that you don't need to do any physical thing. Everything is happening here. It's the battle of the mind. So to build optimism is to practice what I've just said. Everything subconscious goes through practice, right? If you want your optimism to be strong, just this minute, think of anything negative around you. Just think about it, anything negative around you, and then see hope. Your brain would hear that something has changed. And then in 5 minutes time, see hope. And then your brain will hear. You see, there's something we call neuroplasticity. The more your brain hear that, come on, we are seeing good, oh. We are seeing good. We are seeing good. It's like pouring clean water into a dirty cup of water. And the more you pour the clean water, the more you still see dirt. But the more you keep pouring it, the dirty water will overflow. And after a while, only clean water. So pouring is every day, every situation, every time. And there's a secret to this. The secret is instantaneously changing it. So immediately you have a negative thought about the situation, at that time, change it. It means that you arm yourself. I call it arm. Arm yourself with the positive thoughts about the situation. Okay, so this exam that I feel my life will scatter. That's the negative thought. Immediately, where is the one you arm yourself with? Say, no, my life will not scatter. I would get a great life. And what have you done? You've just battled. You've just disputed. It's a disputation. It's a battle. So the negative one come and immediately you put the positive one. The negative one comes, immediately you put the positive one. Now there's a more powerful way, right? With your mind, with the heart, right? You can get some power. But with the mouth, you have bigger power. So the negative thought comes from a thought perspective alone. You can fight it with another thought immediately. But there's a bigger solution. While you can fight it with another thought, you can also fight it with words. Now, the thought does not have words, but you have words. So immediately you say, no, in your mind, that no, my life has not scattered. My life will be beautiful. In your heart, that's a journey in the struggle. The bigger one is to open your mouth and then say, my life is a beautiful one. And then adjust your body and say, my life is a beautiful one. Now, you've used two different categories to fight one category. There's no way you will not win. There's no way. So practice. Do it over and over and over and over again. All of a sudden, you just realize that your mind does not know how to sustain the negative anymore. You won't even know when it happens. Are we getting it? That's how to do it. That's how to build it. It's like going to the gym every day, and all of a sudden, you have what you want. Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you. So I know you talked about understanding your emotions. You talked about knowing yourself, choosing yourself, and giving yourself. I just want you to explain a bit further. So for someone who isn't even conscious, so there are a couple of us, a couple of people that, so personally, before I started this journey, right, I didn't even understand what my emotions meant. So now I know that, you know, if you calm down to understand so I know that your emotions are telling you something.
Yeah.
I get to that point that I now understand first of all, understand my emotions. Then now understand what it's telling me to now be able to dissect it. That okay, so I know that anxiety is telling me this. These are the things that might be causing that, and these are the things that I can do to get out of that situation. So can you explain
Mm.
to people who don't even know anything about it?
Mm. So I see your passion to want to help people to understand so many things that you've gone through. Well, let me just remind you that you went through 4 good days of emotional intelligence training, 3 months of emotional intelligence coaching. I think the best way to say it is that, guys, emotions are data, right? Emotions are data. Um, when your phone rings, it means that somebody is calling you, or that it's time to do something if you set your alarm. But let's take the ringing that's tied to calls. When your phone rings, it means that someone is calling you. You know that that's a call. Now, if you've set certain ringtone for your wife and certain ringtone for your children, when the ringtone from your wife pops up on your phone, you would know that that's my wife calling, right? You know it. When you buy data of 5,000 naira, you know that this data of 5,000 naira, I can browse so gig with it, maybe 5 gig or 10 gig. You know, you see, that knowing, that metaphor is what emotions are. When you feel sad, it is data. There is an information, or there is information inside that sadness. Those who practice emotional intelligence, they are able to open the sadness and get the data inside. Those who don't practice emotional intelligence, they enter into the sadness, they express their life with it. So you can either express with your emotion, right? Or you can think about the emotion and get data from it. So what she's trying to say is that, guys, don't let your emotions go to waste. There's so much inside every emotion you feel. It's an indicator of what is going on around you. It's not an indicator of what somebody has done to you. No. It's not an indicator of what, it's an indicator of how you see life. The sadness that you sustain is an indicator of how you see life. The anger that you sustain is an indicator of how you see life. And so when she said meaning, it means that I am angry because of the meaning that I'm giving to a situation. I am sad because of the meaning of the things I'm giving to a situation, because of the meaning I'm giving to a situation. While we say anger and sadness is not a bad thing, we are saying, how is it working for you and how is it working against you? So if you want to start that journey of understanding your emotions and knowing what to do with it, you need to never forget that for every emotion I feel, there is a thought pattern in my subconscious that has led to that emotion. Part of what she's trying to make me explain is the fact that nobody makes us feel. All the feeling is coming from the inside, right? I feel angry because of how I see that situation. Somebody else is coming to show me the other side of the situation, and all of a sudden the anger is gone, and I'm feeling pity for the person. Because while I was angry with the person, I thought that the person was insulting me. But now I'm feeling pity for the person because I realized that the person's hand is shaking and the person is not doing workout to me. That's how the person is. And now I'm feeling pity. The difference between anger and pity in that situation is because I changed how I see things. So if there's an emotion that is eating you up, you are angry with your wife, you are angry with your husband, and you're always catching the house, and you're always irritated, and you're always unpleasant, you need to go back and check what the perspective is that you are seeing life. How are you seeing life? How are you understanding life? Because the same situation that is making somebody irritated, somebody can be excited in the same situation. By and large, we create our own emotion. Nobody makes us feel anything.
Thank you. That you dissected that question so well. Thank you so much. I will just take one last question.
Yes,
Where do we place feeling pain in all of this? I have felt some level of hurt, and I know that at the peak of your pain, it is hard to remember the positive. How can you deal with the situation?
mean, you're a human being, and everybody deserves the best in life because we are human beings, right? So there are two types of pain, right? There's a physiological pain, and there's a psychological pain. The physiological pain is the pain you feel when your hand gets in between the door and somebody's closing the door, right? That's pain. Or where you hit your toe somewhere, that's pain, right? And I know that that's not the pain you're talking about. I know that you're talking about the psychological pain that eventually becomes a physiological pain, in the sense that I have felt so bad to the extent that I'm feeling a heartache. Now it has moved from a psychological to physiological pain, right? Where is pain in all of this? It is the same thing, right? And I'm going to leave you with this. You see that situation that's making you feel pain and feel hurt. I'd like you to go home after this situation, and I want you to divide your paper into two, like do a letter T, a big letter T, and divide your paper into two. And on the left side, I'd like you to sit down. Maybe you have your bath, allow your brain to cool down. And on the left side, I want you to write everything you have been thinking about that situation. Every time you feel that pain and you feel the hurts, what did you think? What was it? So let me use a relationship perspective. Every time you remember, he cheats me. That was it. He cheated me. So write down, he cheated me. Write down. Every time you think, he used me. 10 years of my life. Write down, he used me. Write down 10 years of my life. You know what we're doing? We are interpreting the hurts literally, and then write them down. After you do that, you will then see the reason why you're feeling pain. Now cross to the other side of the big letter T, and then ask yourself this question: what are other ways, positive, of seeing this situation? What was I saved from? What did I gain? What did I learn? What can I be grateful for? What is the takeaway? You see these questions? I hope you noted them down, because I can't remember them. And I want to repeat them so that if you remember any of the question I just said, please somebody put it in the chat box. So on the other side of letter T, it is, what can I be grateful for in the middle of all of this? Don't forget that all that is making you feel pain, you've written them down. That's for you to unearth it. But on the other side, you write, what can I take away from this? What can be a gain? What can be crazily seen as a gain? What good can I take out of this? What was I saved from? What can I be grateful for? Try and answer those questions. They are going to be difficult, but no matter how difficult it is, resilience, try and begin to write on the other side. Just begin to write. Begin to write. Begin to write. Then you would see the answer to your question. Where is the place of feeling pain in all of this? The place of feeling pain in all of this is the fact that there are certain perspective that you've taken and that you constantly take about the situation. And that's why, even if it happened 10 years ago, today, if you enter into that perspective, you will feel that emotion again. That's the power of emotion. It's a respecter of nobody. It's a respecter of thoughts. It happened 20 years ago. Just begin to think about it the way you were thinking about it when it pained you 20 years ago. You will enter into that feeling again, except you are thinking about it from a funny situation. And that's where the place of pain comes. What I've just tried to tell you, and what I'm trying to tell you, is that you've spent a lot of time reminiscing, thinking about all the negatives, and that's okay, but it is time to see the other part, because there is the other part. Options in emotional intelligence, we say options are always available. There are other options in terms of thoughts where you can soak yourself in, but you have refused to. Can we use this program as a point of contact for you to move to that other option? Can you use this Atinuke story? Can you use this gathering as a memorabilia and say to yourself, because we attended a program from trauma to triumph, moving into my superpower, I want to move into another set of thoughts. Write them down. There could be 10, there could be 15, there could be 5. And now go and start the fight. Every time these thoughts come to your mind, remind them that I have another set of thoughts that is leading me to my superpower. Trust me, if you do that continuously for the next 2, 3 weeks and 1 month, the pain will ease. It will ease. It will be like you rub shea butter on something. It will just continue to ease and continue to ease. And if you need help, reach out to Atinuke. She will continue to help you to remember those thoughts, and she can help you with coaching. And before you know it, you won't feel hot again. And you begin to enjoy the real life that you deserve to live. Please practice that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Enahoro. Thank you. I just want to add to what he said, and make it a bit more relatable. So using my story, right? I've found out now that, with that example, using that example, that analogy that he gave with the paper, the tea, right? This has happened to me. I can't change what has happened to me, right? How do I want to see it? So now I call myself, by the way, Tinuke 2.0. So for me is, if this didn't happen, this side of Tinuke would not have emerged. If this didn't happen. So it got to that point, like, okay, I have other children. Do I want to remain miserable that I can't even raise my children the way I should? Do I want to be that hurt mom? Because you would always transfer these things to people around you. Hurt people always bleed on people that did not cut them. Everything that's happened to me, the people around me did not make it happen to me. So how do I ensure that I can still give my best to these people, right? So those are the things I started writing down. So my kids, my relationship, my siblings, my friends, my business. So there's something my mentor used to say to me. You say, don't let what you don't know affect what you know. Doctors, for example, they will treat malaria patients with the same drugs. Some people will survive, some people will die. If a patient comes tomorrow and they give the same medication and the patient dies, if another patient comes, would they say, because this medicine did not work for this other patient, I will stop treating malaria? Or are there cancer patients that survive? Yes. Is it the same medications that they use? Yes. Do we know why this one did not work for this person? No. But will we now say, because of that, we'll stop treating this sickness? This is using a doctor, for example, right? So that's it. So the more you try to understand what you cannot control, what you don't know, what you don't have a hand in.
Timade, do you want to say something? I see your hand up. Tinuke's internet just froze, or is it mine? This can be funny sometimes. Can you hear us, Tinuke?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Okay.
I see a hand, Timade.
Okay.
You want to say something?
Timade, do you have a question? Oh, it was a mistake. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Coach. Thank you very much. Okay, someone has put,
My
thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. You would agree with me that Coach Enahoro's session was both inspiring and therapeutic. Adversity is neither big or small, like you said, but it's your capacity that helps you deal or overcome it. Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you. So in the midst of adversity, be optimistic, choose hope, be careful of your actions, and remain purpose-driven. He embodied the subject with which he addressed tonight. Thank you so much, Coach.